I've been working through the Psalms. It's one of my most favorite areas of study from the Hebrew Bible. And we're looking at grammar. We're doing a grammatical analysis. We have completed a number of Psalms. The first 9 Psalms have been completed. All of the Messianic Psalms, as well as other Psalms, like the Ascent Psalms 130 to 134, and other key Psalms. What I'm doing is gradually working my way through some of the classic Psalms, looking at the grammar and looking at primarily every verse and almost every word, seeking to understand the verbs especially, and the vowel patterns, and I bring out historical Hebrew grammar as I'm going through it, as well as commentary. So what we're looking at would be inductive Hebrew grammar. And we're going to start then in chapter 10, Psalm 10. It is a great psalm, and along with the analytical grammar, we'll do a brief commentary, verse by verse. It's a psalm in which there is a prayer, and the psalmist is being attacked, being oppressed by those that are saying there is no God, meaning that God doesn't care about what we do in our actions. And so the psalmist is going through a time of real oppression, and he is calling upon the Lord for help. And so it's a psalm that would be relative to our day and time and the struggles that we're experiencing in many ways with the in today's what we're facing today. So we begin with Psalm 10, verse 1. Lama Adonai ta'amod berachok, talim le'itot bat sarah. And we translate that, verse 1. Why, O Lord, do you stand afar off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? We're going to look at his prayer to the Lord in these first 2 verses, followed then by a description of those who are being hurtful, the wicked who are attacking him. So we begin with Lama Adonai ta'amod berachok. Why? Here we have the interrogative question, Lama. Why, O Lord? Here we have a vocative of address. Why, O Lord? Ta'amod berachok. Why do you stand in a far distance? Notice ta'amod is from the root amad, which means to stand. And here we have a cow perfect or cow imperfect, second masculine singular from amad. So why, O Lord, do you stand in a far distance would be the way I would render it. And then in the next clause, talim be'itot batsara. Why do you hide in times of trouble or distressful times? Notice the root is alam in talim. And here again, we have a cow imperfect, second masculine singular from alam. So why do you hide in times of distress? Especially when the innocent people are being oppressed by those that are acting wickedly toward them. Verse 2, Bega'avat Rasha, and I'll read it in the Hebrew, Bega'avat Rashad Yidlak Ani, Yitafasu Bimzimodzu Chashavu. And so we would translate verse 2 then, Through the pride of the wicked, the poor are hotly pursued. They are seized or taken in the devices which they have imagined. That is, which those that are evil and wicked have imagined. Notice the ga'avat, in the pride of the wicked. Notice be is your simple inseparable preposition, and ga'avat is in construct with rasha from ga'ava. So in the pride of the wicked, here we have two nouns in construct. Yidlak, the poor, is hotly pursued. Notice yidlak is your cow imperfect third masculine singular from dalak, to hotly or to pursue hotly, and ani simply means poor or afflicted. We're not looking at people that are poverty stricken, but those that are weak and are being impressed. Weak in the sense that they're being impressed by those that are hurtful and stronger than them. That is the thought here, I believe. And then yitafasu bimzimot zu chashavu. They are seized or they are taken. Notice yitafasu is from the root to take or to seize, and notice the root is tafas, and it is a nifal, imperfect third masculine singular from tafas. So historically, it would have been yin tafasu, and notice it's an imperfect, a cow imperfect third masculine plural with the u suffix. And notice the hirik in the tav tells us that there's been a reduplication. So historically, it would have been yin tafasu, and the noon of the nifal, through progressive assimilation, went into the tav, and that's why we have the doggish forte. And one of the ways to tell a nifal stem is you have, especially imperfect, you have the a vowel pattern with the doubling of the first radical of the root. And that's because, or the first consonant of the root, that's because the noon has assimilated the noon of the nifal stem. So yin tafasu became yit tafasu. So they are seized, or they have been seized in the devices. Notice bim zimot from zemima. Here we have a feminine plural, and with the preceded by the inseparable preposition debate. With the devices which, zu is the relative pronoun, that or which, chashavu, which they have imagined. Notice chashavu is from chashav, to think or imagine. It's the cow perfect third common plural from chashav. So what the text is saying, with this kind of arrogance or haughtiness, the innocent are seized or taken by the thoughts and devices which the wicked have imagined. That's what the psalmist is saying. And then he talks about the attitude of the wicked, verse 3. And so we'll read verse 3 and then look at the grammar. Kol hilal rasha al ta'avat nafsho, u votsea berek ni'etz Adonai. And then in this verse, notice we would translate it, the wicked boasts of his heart's desire, or upon the desire of his soul or his heart. And the robber, or the one who is covetous, uh, we could say blesses himself, or maybe we could render this vaunteth himself. It is interesting that as we're describing the wicked here, uh, he is arrogant and he openly boasts and prides himself in what he is able to do. It is interesting. There's a quote in the Psalms on Cohen's Sonsino Psalms where the Hebrew is rendered, and robbing, he blesses but contemns the Lord. In other words, he's blessing himself. And so here we probably could simply translate this: in pride, the wicked is boasting in his heart's desire, for he boasts, for he is literally covetous, and he blesses, or he vaunteth himself up by blessing himself, boasting, and then he contemns, that is, he openly, can I say, demeans, contemns the Lord. Notice he's now describing his plight, and he's giving a description of the wicked. The wicked, first of all, are boasting. Notice Hillel is from the root halal, to praise. And notice we have a PL, perfect, third masculine singular. We see this because we have the hirik under the hay, followed by the doubling of the middle consonant or the middle radical in the lamed. And so Hillel, that is indicative of your PL stem. Your I, seri, vowel pattern, doubling of the middle radical. So the wicked boast upon or of the desire of his soul. Notice ta'avat is in construct with nafsho, with the desire of the soul of him, and O is in construct with nefesh here, becoming nafsh. So he's boasting of the desire of his soul. In other words, whatever he wants to do, he is taking aim at the weaker ones and is boasting about it. And notice the O here of nafsho is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. And then it goes on, uvotseya. Votseya is from the root vatsa, which means to be covetous. And so, and he is covetous. Notice we have an holem followed by a tsere and the furtive pathak under the ayin. So it's a cow participle, masculine singular. He is covetous. And that's why Shane, quoted by Cohen, translated it in a very interesting way, and robbing. In other words, he's wanting to hurt the weaker ones. So he is covetous, and notice he blesses himself. Berek is from barak, to bless, and so he's boastful along with his covetousness. And we have a PL, perfect, third masculine singular, from barak. So he boasts, or he vaunteth himself up, and then he hates Adonai. That is, he contemns, he looks down upon the Lord. And notice Ni'etz is from Na'atz. Again, it's another PL, perfect, third masculine singular, from Na'atz. So he contemns the Lord. And really he's saying there is no God that's going to involve what I'm doing. God is absent. And then in verse 4, the psalmist continues, and what he's doing now in verses 4 to 11, he's describing the attitude or the description of the wicked. So notice verse 4, Rasha kegova apo ba yidrosh, ein Elohim kol mezimotav. And we would translate that in verse 4, the wicked, according to the pride of his face or his countenance, is saying about God, he will not require. In other words, he's not going to stop what I am doing in my hurtful attitude. Ein Elohim kol mezimotav, that is, all of his thoughts are there is no God. And notice, Rasha simply means the wicked one. And then in the pride, according to the, notice this gava is in construct with apo. So according to the pride of his face or his countenance, from af, and notice o is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. What is he saying implied here? He is saying Baal Yidrosh, he will not require. Baal is your negative particle. Yidrosh is from darash, to require. And he's speaking of God, that he'll be able to do what he wants to do without God interfering. And he's basically saying he won't be brought to account for what he's doing. The wicked is boasting here. Ein Elohim kol mezimotav. That is, there is no God, are all of his thoughts. And I think the thought here is that he mainly is saying there is no God that's going to, in other words, practical atheism. I appreciate what Cohen had said, atheism in the sense of denial of God's reality never occurs in the Bible. The atheists are they who scorn the belief that he cares how men act. That's, I think, what we find in the psalm here. In other words, God doesn't care how men act. They're not what we would call atheists today that claim there is no God. They would just say, well, there's a God, but he doesn't really care. He's like a deistic God. He has no concern about what's happening here. So the wicked feel they can get by with whatever they want to do. And so this is the thoughts of the wicked, the psalmist is saying. And then he goes on to describe his ways that prosper at all times. So I'm reading in verse 5 as we would continue. Yachilu derecha bechol et, marom mishpatecha minegdo, kol tzorarav yafiach bahim. And then he goes on to describe in verse 5 his ways prosper. In other words, he feels he is triumphant in what he's doing. And notice his ways prosper at all times. This is his attitude, the wicked. Your judgments are far out of his sight. In other words, they're far from before him. And all of his adversaries, as for them, he simply, this word yafiach means to breathe at in a negative way. He puffs at them, we could translate, at all of his adversaries. And he does this in a boastful, self-confident way. Notice yachilu is from hul, to prosper. It's the cow imperfect, third person plural from hul. So he prospers bechol eight at every time his ways. And notice derachav, av is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular from derek, and the I is in construct with the vav here, plural noun in construct. So his ways prosper at all times. Marom mishpatecha min negdo. Your judgments are far or are beyond, literally, from before him. In other words, the thought is God is not going to punish what he's doing. God's judgments are basically, he's not concerned about what the wicked are doing. And so he's describing, again, the attitude of this man that is seeking to persecute the psalmist. And notice mishpatecha is from mishpate, is in construct with cha, your pronominal suffix, second masculine singular, from before him. Here we have min, the noon has assimilated into the noon, and neged means before, and preposition and o is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. And so what he's really saying is that he feels that God's concern is totally out of view of what he's doing. And then in the last phrase, kol sororav yafiach bahim, all of his adversaries, he simply puffs at. In other words, he says, they're not going to do anything to, actually we could even translate this snort, puff or snort. So he is saying, as for all of my adversaries, the wicked man is saying, I don't have to worry about them because God doesn't really care. And notice, Yafia is from fuach, the cow imperfect, third masculine singular, and sorarav is from sarar, adversary. Notice we have the cow participle, masculine plural, with the holim vav, the o vowel, between the first and second consonant, and then your vav, your pronominal suffix. So as for his adversaries, he simply snorts at them in a disdainful way. And the reason he does this is in verse 6. Amar belabo bal amot lador vador asher lo bara. He says in his heart, I shall not be moved. From generation to generation, there shall be no adversary against me. There shall not be, we could actually say there shall not be in adversity anything that would be opposing to me. So here's a boast that he's going to outlive everybody. And from generation to generation, he can continue to do hurtful things. And God, as it were, is absent. So Amar is your cow perfect, third masculine singular from Amar. He said in his heart, Bal Amot, I will not be moved. Notice the negative particle Bal. Amot is from the root mot, to be moved. Here we have a doggish forte in the mem, indicating historically a nifal stem, en mot becoming a mot. And the noon, by progressive assimilation of the nifal, has gone into the mem. So I will not be moved to generation and generation, which shall not be in adversity. In other words, I'll be able to endure in spite, the evil man is saying, in spite of my actions, because God is virtually absent. His mouth notice, is full of cursing and deceit and oppression, and under his tongue is mischief and iniquity. So as we read verse 7, notice it reads, Allah pihu malei umirmot vetok, tachat leshono amal ve'avin. And we could translate that, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and oppression, and under his tongue is mischief and iniquity. Notice Allah means a cursing, and pihu, P is mouth, hu is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. So his mouth is full. Notice malay is your cow perfect, third masculine singular from malay. So his mouth is full of cursing and deceit, mirmot, and oppression, tok. So basically, he is constantly attacking the psalmist. The psalmist is saying, and under his tongue, tachat leshono, is amal and iniquity, is mischief and iniquity. Notice he has smooth words, but the reality is the psalmist is saying his opponent is very hurtful. Under his tongue is mischief and iniquity, amal ve'avin. It is interesting that Paul refers to this text in the New Testament, where he quotes it and applies it to the sinfulness of humankind, and in Romans chapter 3. And so the psalmist continues then in verse 8, describing what this evil person is doing and what he's like. Yeshev b'ma'arav chatzerim, b'mistarim ya'arog naki, einav lechelcha yitzponu. That is, reading then in verse 8, he sits in, we could say, lurking places, or places where he is hiding. So the lurking places of the chatzerim, of the villages. And so here again we have two nouns in construct. And notice yeshev is historically from vashav, a pei vav verb. The vav has elided, and this is a cow imperfect, third masculine singular, and we have compensatory lengthening. In other words, yiv shev became yeshev, where the vav having elided caused a lengthening of the hirik to etc. So he sits in, can I say, lurking places in the open settlements. These are unwalled villages like. And then we go on, he's likening this evil, hurtful person or people, mistarim yacharog naki. In secret places, he slays the innocent. Ya'arog is your cow imperfect, third masculine singular from arak, to slay. So in secret places, in other words, he's lurking to hurt the innocent. He hurts the naki. He slays the innocent, describing again the evil of what the psalmist is facing in the description of the wicked. And then he goes on in the next verse, einav, or the next phrase, einav lechelcha yitzponu. That is, his eyes search out or watch for the helpless ones. And notice helcha, I'm taking as an adjective meaning helpless one, and his eyes from ayin. Einav is plural in construct with the vav pronominal suffix, and then yitzponu is from safan, to watch. So it's a cow imperfect third masculine singular from safan. So his eyes are watching for the helpless one. And then in verse 9, it reads, he's like a lion. He's watching in his lair to hurt the helpless one. Ya'arov b'mistar ke'aryeh besuko. Ya'arov lechatof ani. Yaktof ani b'moshcho berishto. So as we read verse 9, he lies in the secret place as a lion in his lair. Notice Ya'arov is from arav, to lie in wait. It's the cow imperfect third masculine singular from arav. In the secret place, mistar means secret, and then it means it like a secret place. As a lion, ke aryeh, ke is your inseparable preposition. Aryeh means lion. As a lion in suko, in his lair. So he's hiding to catch this innocent one. And then the next phrase, Ya'arov lachatof ani. He lies in wait. Notice again from arav, cow imperfect third masculine singular from arav. He lies to la'atov, to catch the poor, the innocent one. And notice la'atov is from chataf, to catch. It's the cow infinitive construct with the lamed and the pathak here. So he's lying in wait to catch the innocent one. The pathak is under the lamed because it is drawn from the chatef pathak, the hurried pathak under the chet. And so he lies in wait to catch the poor, and he catches, yachatof ani, he catches the poor, again, yachatov, cow imperfect third masculine singular from chataf, catches the poor when he draws his net. And notice, b'moshcho is from mashak, to draw. It's the cow infinitive construct with your pronominal suffix in your holim vav, your third masculine singular pronominal suffix. And the be here is an inseparable preposition introducing a temporal use of this infinitive. So he catches the poor when he draws with his net, berishto, from reshet meaning net. And so the psalmist goes on then describing this wicked one like a lion, or like waiting to catch this helpless one. And then so in verse 10, he continues describing what he is like. Yidkeh yashocha v'nafal be'atsumav chel gamim. And so as we read verse 10, he crouches from daka. The kare here would be something like, and he crouches. A cow, perfect, third masculine singular from dacha, to crouch, with a vav preceding it. The kare would be yidkeh, a cow imperfect, third masculine singular from daka. So he crouches, he bows down. Yashicha. This is from the root shachach, a final lamed hay root where the hay has elided, and it's the cow imperfect, third masculine singular from shachach. And so we don't see the final hay here. And this is a verb that is used even of bowing down in worship, except here it's a negative thing. Looking at this lion, looking at the wicked, and what they're doing. Bows down, and the helpless fall into his mighty claws. But Nafal is your cow imperfect, third masculine singular. From Nafal, Ba'atsumav is from claws. And notice it's in the plural here with the vav, your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular, with his claws, the helpless. Hel lachim. Again, I'm understanding this to be like an adjective, the helpless ones. So he's attacking the weak, this wicked person or the wicked people that he's speaking of here. And then we have verse 11, which completes the description of the wicked in this psalm. And then we can go on to, in the next video, to see again God's help, an appeal to God. So verse 11, Amar belevo shachak el, histir panav bal ra'ah lanetzach. This is the attitude of the wicked one, the psalmist is saying. He says in his heart, God has forgotten. Amar is your cow perfect, third masculine singular from Amar. The lebo, we have your preposition in. Lev is heart. Lib is in construct with o, your pronominal suffix. So he says in his heart, Shechach el, God has forgotten. Shechach is your cow perfect, third masculine singular from Shechach, to forget. Histir, he has caused to hide his face. Notice satar means to hide. Here we have a hifil, perfect, third masculine singular from satar. Notice under the hey, it gives it away as a hifil stem. We have the I vowel, the hirik, followed by the hirik yod in the thematic vowel pattern. So he has hidden his face. And this is the attitude of the wicked, saying God does not even see evil. Bal ra'ah lanetzach. He does not even see, the wicked is saying, what I'm doing. Bal is your negative particle. Ra'ah is your cow perfect, third masculine singular from ra'ah. And then forever, lanetzach, to eternity or forever. His attitude is God doesn't really care what's going on here upon earth. And this is the attitude of the wicked, the psalmist is saying. It's sort of like God is absent from human affairs. And so I think as I look at this text, I'm going to stop there. We've looked at a pretty long description of grammar, describing, first of all, the appeal to God to help him in his prayer, then describing what the wicked are like. And then in the next video, this will be part 2, he will make his appeal to God, appeal to the Lord. And in terms of New Testament reference, I think Romans 3 would fit well here. In looking at the New Testament, Paul actually makes an allusion to this text when he talks about the cursing and bitterness being under their tongue. And so no doubt he was thinking of this text when he wrote Romans chapter 3. So what we're going to find is God will come and will respond to the prayer of those that are going through hard times from the wicked ones. But we'll have that appeal, which will happen in verses 12 to 16, and I'll do that on part 2 of this psalm. So we'll keep working our way through different psalms grammatically, looking at Hebrew grammar, and I hope that this is helping. If someone wants to follow in the Hebrew Bible, please feel free to do that, and think about the meaning of the Hebrew grammar. I think grammar is essential to understanding the Hebrew text, which I believe is fully and inerrantly inspired by the Lord, and it's important to spend time in Scripture. So we'll move in the next video to the appeal to God, responding to the psalmist over against the wicked that are attacking the psalmist.